So, today is the last day of canvassing before the election tomorrow, and I'm all out of leaflets. So I'm waiting to hear from the printer to go and collect them. And I just thought I'd make a short video because I won't get a chance to do anything more with social media for the rest of the day, I don't think. I've been to many houses. I'm glad I put my name down as a candidate now. I've really enjoyed it. I met a few people on the way, got a lot of positive feedback. So I did enjoy it, and it's always the same every election. You're always reminded, essentially, that the people of Limerick are good people, are nice people. Even if they don't vote for you, you always have pleasant encounters with them. The vast majority are decent. You meet the odd one or two hostile, but overall, it's been a lovely, lovely experience. And many lovely gardens. I mean, I got some inspirations from my own garden, visiting some of the many lovely gardens. Because I like things like garden sculpture. So I thought I'd share this with you. This is my attempt at a garden sculpture here. So there's a bit of symbolism involved here, if you bear with me. Now, I didn't carve this. I found this in the Mungret Recycling Centre about 15 years ago, I think. And the minute I saw it, I said, oh, I'll take that. I know what I want to do with that. So this attempt at a garden sculpture, the corner of my patio. The stones here are the challenges that life throw at you. And this is you, the individual, every man, every woman. This is you trying to keep your head on and overcome and rise above those challenges. But on a more personal level, what this is and what this represents, this is me. And these are the stones that have been thrown at my home, breaking windows off some of them, or hitting some of my children over the years since I've lived here. And this is me trying to keep my head on and not kill someone. Because these stones were thrown by children, they were thrown by teenagers. And misguided, disaffected youth that were put up to it in a lot of cases, put up to it because we've been objecting to the treatment of our elderly neighbours by some, the attempts to put people out of their homes, more recently objecting to the drug dealing that was going on, open drug dealing on our street, and in the wake of that, all the heroin needles that were being left strewn around the place. So I know some of these stones, I can't remember all of them, but I do have the ones to the front here that I really remember. And this one was thrown 20 years ago when my eldest was about 2 and he was potty training inside in the hallway. We've long gardens, so the door was open. It was a summer's day, and this came in through the hallway, nearly hitting him while he was sitting in the potty. 20 years ago. And this one then is fairly old as well. It was thrown back in 2005, and it broke the window, a bedroom window. And thankfully, my son was not in bed at the time and didn't discover until the next day that his window was broken when he woke up the next morning. But he wasn't in bed at the time, so thankfully. But what's interesting about this one is that 10 years later, the youth that threw it arrived up at my door, apologising and asking me to write him a letter of recommendation for a job, which I did, because I could see that his apology was sincere, and he was not the same person he was 10 years before that. Because we're not the sum total of our actions, really, in many ways. And he had changed and turned his life around, but he was the exception. He wasn't the rule, he was the exception. A lot of youths that engage in antisocial behaviour will go on to go to jail. You can only point the ones that will end up in jail. This one here is more recent. This was thrown last year, broke the window of my wife's car. Her car was broken, the window was broken twice last year. In fact, she was targeted. Often when she was driving up our Boreen, she'd have to run the gauntlet of a gang shouting abuse and roaring abuse at her and banging on the car. And again, these youths were sent up to torment us because we've been objecting to the drug dealing, as I said earlier. So yeah. Now, I live in a regeneration area, and we've had 16 years of regeneration, and the fact that we still have gangs of youths running around engaging in antisocial behaviour is a testament that to the fact that there has been absolutely no social regeneration in the area, and absolutely no attempt, because if there had been, these youths would have been in other programmes to help. They've slipped through the net of education, basically. These are youths that have slipped through the net of education, and alternatives need to be put in place. Now, I have over the years suggested a few ideas to people, to the council in particular. Community gardens that we started in the area, the council actually ended up destroying them. They gave us no real support in that regard. But in 2014, I was on the Environmental Strategic Policy Committee, and with a mandate from the Community and Voluntary Forum, because I didn't run off on a solo run with my own ideas, I was mandated. I brought it to the Community and Voluntary Forum first, and then mandated it. I proposed that the bylaws be changed in the city for horses to facilitate horse projects. And then the last meeting we had of that in 2014, the council officials set up so that we could actually reform those bylaws, and invited all the councillors to attend so that they could vote. And only 7 out of the 17 at the time, it was the city council, we weren't merged, only 7 out of the 17 turned up, so there wasn't a quorum, so there was no vote. So in the end it was decided it would be postponed, and that matter would be decided by the incoming council. 10 years on, and it has never been decided. Nothing has been done. And you know, we have a whole generation of a disaffected youth that have been effectively cast into the scrap heap of life. Nothing is going to be done. And I know some people say, oh, blame the parents. Well, the parents have gone through the same cycle. A lot of them have often slipped through the education system, so they don't know any better. So, you know, trying to take it on with the parents is not going to achieve much unless there are social interventions. And I know Gardaí, again, the Gardaí are under resource, and in the immediate you do need a Garda response, and we were promised a dedicated Garda service which never materialised here. And now we have even less Gardaí on patrol than we had before. I mean, I could be waiting after a window was broken there last year. I could be waiting up to 4 hours, maybe even the next day before the Garda would respond to it. So, I mean, but Gardaí alone is not the solution. Policing alone is not the solution. We need stick alone is not. You need a bit of carrot as well. Interventions are what needed. So the reason I suppose I'm sharing this as well is because I did promise to those who follow my YouTube channel. I did promise that I would make a video about the mayoral elections that we're having in Limerick. Limerick's first ever directly elected mayor, and I'm not going to now. Obviously, I don't have time. Don't have time to do that. But the reason is that I was scrolling through Facebook last night. I hadn't much time with the election to be looking at much, but I came across a sponsored ad by one of the candidates, Daniel Butler, for Fine Gael candidate. Daniel is also a councillor in my local electoral area, and he had an interview he did with News Talk, complaining about his fears about his home being attacked. People online had posted his address, which, by the way, all candidates' addresses are publicly available, so no one doxed him, had posted his address, and some nasty individual suggested that people go break his windows. And he was very worried, and worried for his family. And he would be if someone makes a threat, but the reality is these people online, they're not going to do anything. There was no stones thrown at his house. He's sort of driving around a car with his face on it. That hasn't been attacked. There's been no hostility towards him. And only last night then my wife showed me a video of him saying he'll get a tattoo if he gets elected. He'll get a Limerick-based tattoo. So he's clearly not that worried about his family, because I know when this was going on, I used to be terrified for my children, for my wife. I used to be home. I used to come home from work early. Sometimes I had to come home after an incident. Real threats. This stone here hit my son, my eldest son, on the head when he was 5. And in his naive innocence, he believed it had fallen from the tree and that a bird was making a nest out of stones. So I don't understand why people will trivialise real antisocial and criminal behaviour when they have online nasty things said about him. It's not the same, Daniel, and it's very insulting to people who've gone through it. Now, Daniel knows I've been through this because he sat there in that room there with our residents, listening to our problems over the years, very real problems. Of course, he had to, because the officials told me, all the councillors had to meet with us because I had a deciding vote on the LCDC, and we had to be appeased, I think. He sat there, made promises, and, well, we didn't really hear from him again. After I cast my votes, that was the end of the councillors who didn't want to know us. So it's just insulting. It really irritated me. I don't know what else to say about that, but the mayoral election, I won't be making that video now, but thankfully there is a clause in there. It's a big high-paying job and our responsibility. There is a clause in there that allows for a recall in the legislation. If the mayor is an absolute clown and the people of Limerick elect an idiot, then there can be a recall. He can be recalled and replaced. So that's a very positive thing. As for who I would vote for in mayor, I don't know. I'm not going to say. I don't want to endorse any particular candidate, but I will say this. Look at the independents and look at those that are going to be centred and focused on the communities that live in Limerick City and the county. Look at those that want to do the best for your communities and what they're going to do and examine before. And independent, go independent. They're not going to serve any party. They'll serve everyone. And that's what you should do as a councillor. Not just your own little area or neck of the woods. You should be serving all of the communities in your local electoral area. So, there you go. The slings and arrows. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Hopefully now those leaflets will be printed soon. I can get back on the trail, and hopefully the weather will stay dry for us. And I want to thank all those who came forward and volunteered to help me. I have about 12 people on and off that have been helping me get the leaflets out. People coming in after work and giving me hours after their own job, after they finish their work. So I want to thank you all for that. And until the next time, be seeing you.